Hi there and welcome back to the Nourishing Routes channel. Today I'll be sharing some recovery tips with you by focusing on the topic of still continuing to challenge yourself despite being a healthy or a healthier weight than you were when you had severe anorexia or another form of eating disorder. So I'll start off this video by sharing a little bit of information about why I'm talking about this. So when I was in recovery a few years ago, and I still continue to challenge myself now to keep on top of things, but I remember hitting this fear zone of being a healthy weight again, and part of me knew that I was still struggling with a lot of eating disorder behaviours and fears around food that still needed to be tackled. But for the pure fact that I gained a healthy amount of weight and in a doctor's eyes I was seen as healthy now or a healthy BMI, then I suddenly felt undeserving of recovery. Though it felt like I didn't need to challenge myself anymore. Suddenly going out for fear food seemed just stupid because why would I do that now I'm healthy? And it locked me in this zone of quasi-recovery. Now you might have heard of this term before, and I think a lot of us do stay in this zone sometimes just without a care in the world and understanding that we still need to move forward in recovery. Because quasi-recovery for me, it felt, at the time, I thought that I was recovered when I actually wasn't. So quasi-recovery means that, despite gaining some weight or moving forward on your journey to recovery, there are still some behaviours, negative thoughts and feelings that are eating disorder related that still stay with you. So the way I like to see this is, if I think of someone who might have depression or another mental illness that isn't visible, I wouldn't say to that person, come back to me when you look more depressed, or maybe when you look more psychotic, or when you look more mentally ill. Because for a lot of other mental illnesses, apart from eating disorders, there isn't necessarily a visible sign that you can actually look for. However, when we think about anorexia or bulimia or other forms of eating disorders, often we can automatically think that they are visible illnesses. And for me, that's just not true at all. And although when I was at my worst in my eating disorder that I was emaciated and didn't look healthy, that by no means that everyone has to look like that in order to have an eating disorder. And the same goes for recovery. So even though you may have a healthy weight now or have gained a significant amount of weight, if you ever have lost weight with an eating disorder, that does not mean that you are recovered or should stop recovery. How I like to think about this as well is, just because you may not look like you're ill doesn't mean you still don't have challenges to overcome or fears or things that are stopping you from progressing in life. I was also going to say that when you're in quasi-recovery, it's a little bit like you've got rotten floorboards in your house and you know that they're going to cause you absolute hell in the long run. But instead of actually dealing with the cause of the rotting wood or actually getting rid of the rotten wood, what you actually do is put a nice clean, glamorous carpet over it, and for a few months or even years, the house looks fine, people walk on the carpet, think it looks great, it feels really soft and comfy. But actually, after a little while, the rot starts seeping through and you start to realise, actually, this carpet, putting that down as kind of a mask, wasn't the right thing to do. And in the end, you have to uprip the carpet anyway. It causes you even more mess. And in terms of eating disorder recovery, it's a little bit like that, because you need to deal with the rotten wood or the other little nuances of behaviours and thoughts and feelings around your eating disorder, and not put the mask on it, which is simply gaining a healthy weight or looking healthier or kidding other people that you're well. Like, to others that might look like the glamorous carpet, but underneath those layers there's still a lot of rotten wood that you need to deal with. And for me, that was like a lot of rotten thoughts and feelings that I thought about myself. I still had this really low self-esteem. I didn't think I was worth anything. I still used food for control. There were certain things that I wouldn't eat because I thought that it would make me fat and even more disgusting. I still had to obsessively walk around the block so many times a day in order to feel worthy of food. But on the outside, I looked well. I keep doing this, but I looked well even though I wasn't. So on that note, I do ask you, are you dealing with your own bits of rotten wood inside, and are you just literally putting a glamorous carpet over yourself to mask what's really going on? And this is how eating disorders can easily still continue to take over your life and your actions and your thoughts and feelings without you actually realising it. So for me, even though I was a healthy weight, I was still struggling with going out for meals, I was still counting calories, I still had a real problem with eating food that I didn't know how many calories were in it. I wasn't able to travel, I wasn't able to go out for meals if I didn't know where we were going beforehand. I couldn't eat in between meals or snacks because I felt everything had to be regimented. And I was still trapped very much in a bubble of disordered eating, even though to everybody else I might have looked healthier. Also, even though I was eating a healthy amount of food, I knew that often my intentions behind what I was eating, where I would eat, when I would eat, were very still much disordered. But I kidded myself and everyone else that I was in healthy mode, I was recovered, and I didn't need to do any more work on myself. But you know what? As you might have guessed, how wrong was I? And on that note, I'd kind of encourage you at this point to just ask yourself and dig a little bit deeper. Are you still struggling with disordered thoughts and behaviours around food? Even if they're really subtle and kind of sneak under the carpet, are they something that are still, invading your life? And when you have the answer to that question, just consider for a moment, do you want to live with those slight disorders and behaviours around food? Or even exercise? So I'll give you some examples that you might be able to notice in your life. So, are you still limiting yourself to a certain amount of calories per day? Do you have any thoughts and feelings around certain types of foods that fill you with fear or dread? Or do you have some foods that you just by no means will not eat at all costs? Do you still have an exercise routine that still seems rigid, even if it's simply walking around the block, but something that you feel that you have to do in order to feel sane and in control? Do you sometimes limit certain food groups, such as maybe the amount of bread that you can eat, the types of bread that you can eat, how many sweet foods you can eat per day? So do you have any general limitations around certain food groups and things that you will or won't allow yourself? And 5 is still eating out or in between meal and snack times, or having certain bigger portion sizes that aren't expected difficult for you. And ultimately, as kind of like a bonus question, if you can call it a bonus question, is do you somewhat feel as though there's kind of a blank space missing in your life where you feel somewhat unfulfilled because your food and eating routines are getting in the way? And if you can answer yes to any of those questions, or you have your own questions to ask and can say yes or no to them, then, I really believe that your recovery still needs to go forward, regardless of what you weigh on a scale or what you might think you are happy with looking like at the moment. Because let's face it, your body knows its healthy weight for you. And you need to trust the fact that you need to eliminate all unnecessarily disordered behaviours and feelings around food in order to be fully recovered. And by no means does just being at a healthy weight define whether you should stop or start your recovery. I think deep down, you know, and your real authentic voice knows whether it needs to keep going or not. And for me, despite being a healthy weight, deep down, I knew inside that there was still a hell of a lot of work to do. So on that note, I really ask you to dig deep and ask, is there any little bit of extra work that you can do on yourself? And if this answer is yes, then let's start to think about ways that you can challenge yourself every day to start moving on and not letting your weight define you, even if you feel that you are a healthy weight already. So I'll give you some tips about what I do to stay on top of my challenges and just to help keep the eating disorder at bay and to stop it sneaking back into my life. So to keep challenging myself, sometimes I like to write down on little post-it notes, or even get my boyfriend or parents to write down on little post-it notes some challenging foods or foods I previously had as fear foods. So that could be things like a full portion of cake, an unknown slice of brownie, or a tray bake from a cafe. They might also write down a very specific drink order that I then have to go up to somewhere like Starbucks or Costa to order. Or they may challenge me to, go out to a restaurant and order something like unplanned off the menu. So literally blindfolded, where I literally go, okay, I'm going to have that. And, I don't get to, change that order at all, or have these weird little kind of restrictions in there, so ask without sauce or ask for things to be made without oil. Like, I cannot do that. I have to order it as it's stated on the menu. And when you start doing those little challenges, even if it's just one a day or every other day, it starts to make you feel as though you allow yourself a little bit of room in recovery for manoeuvre. So you allow more space for life to come in rather than your eating disorders to still consume every waking minute of every waking hour of the day. Because let me tell you right now, even if you are a healthy weight, eating disorders can still exist as though they are absolutely on your shoulders, crushing you, weighing you down, literally holding onto your neck and kind of puppeteering your every move. So it is so important to keep challenging yourself in recovery, to just get rid of all those annoying nuances that make you feel trapped and unable to live your life to the full, because ultimately that's the most important thing. And if you feel that you're living your life, like even 99% of what you could be living, the 100%, then that in itself entitles you to keep going with recovery, because everyone deserves that. Everyone deserves to live a free life where they themselves can make decisions around your life and food and drink and exercise, and not have this other little annoying little diddy man on your shoulder, or however you see this eating disorder, prodding you and telling what you should and shouldn't have, because either you don't deserve it, or it thinks that you're fat, or it doesn't think you've done enough exercise for the day. Like, those things do not mean diddly squat in terms of who you are. So again, just to reinstate the whole theme of this video, you deserve, no matter what you weigh or what you look like, to keep challenging yourself in recovery. Because when you do, it becomes really exciting to challenge all these rules and regulations you've previously had around food. And it's like, this massive kind of weight feels like it's being released. Again, no matter what you weigh or what you've previously weighed, I start to feel like more happy in life, and like I can make the decisions for once. And you too deserve to do that. Make the decision in your life and choose to keep challenging yourself in recovery. Because quite honestly, it means the world, and it's given me hope that there's so much of a better life out there waiting. Whether you want to travel, you want to go and explore the world, you want to go and make more friends, do the hobbies you've always wanted to do, go to university, all these multitude of things are unlimited and limitless if you just keep challenging yourself. So finally, that's all I kind of want to say for this video. But if you want to give you more specific tips on how you can keep challenging yourself in recovery, maybe that can be another video. So on that note, I'm going to stop babbling on now and encourage you to keep going with your challenges. Have a great week, and hopefully I'll catch up with you very soon.